Okay, morning students, right? This is our last class for the semester. So I'm sure that you have prepared for your presentation according to your proposal, right? So today we're going to have Monica to present her proposal, and then followed by Shamani and finally Farah. Okay, so each of them will present according to what they want to they have written, and after that there will be a 5 minute of Q&A, right, where they have to clarify what they want to achieve, or maybe I can suggest certain areas that they can strengthen in their proposal. Okay, so all the best, students. Thank you. Okay, done. So now is Monica. You introduce yourself first.
Okay.
Okay, continue. Start. Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Jacqueline. Good morning, Dr. Kenny, and fellow friends, classmates. Today, my name is Monica. I'm a student from Qualitative Research, now on my final presentation today. Will present on my research title, Moral Leadership Practice Among Private School Leaders, a case study. So I'm going to present starting with chapter 1, the introduction. I'll go to the background of study, problem statement, purpose of research, research objective, research question, speculation, limitation, and then the operation definition of terms. The first one on the introduction, I'll go to the background, on the introduction. The introduction is a little on the background of the study. It's all how leadership studies first started in the 1960s, and then it expanded and went to moral leadership was first mentioned in the 1990s by Seng Ye, and then the current years this moral leadership concepts started to expand, and it was started to, the literature review was quoted by, in the literature review, moral leadership was quoted in a more common manner. So this is the current years. Next is on my problem statement. Problem statement, the first one is increased emphasis on leadership expertise or contemporary leadership, that the aspect of moral leadership is overlooked. This is the first problem, that aspect of moral leadership is overlooked. And next is the school leaders are moral leaders. Only then they can impact the students and other institutions in future. And then empirical research is quite limited on moral leadership, and that moral leadership is important to impact the student and other institutions in future. And also moral practice is used to develop school leadership. Failure to address moral dimension may result in increasing moral difficulties. So this is one of the important factors to touch on moral leadership in school. The purpose of the research is to widen and enhance, this is the purpose of my research, to widen and enhance knowledge of moral leadership. Next is to provide qualitative evidence that could be taken into consideration of the private educational school board to encourage moral leadership. This is in the private school. And also to suggest professional programs for leaders at private school. And the research objective will be, the first is to describe the practice of moral leadership in private school, and then to gather principles, perspectives on moral leadership, and to explore our moral practice among school leaders. And this is my research question. And this is my research question. Hold on.
Remember, you can read out. You can read out from your book.
Hold on. Okay. I don't know where is the research question. My research question, the first one is how moral leadership among school leaders in Selangor private school can be described, and what are the perspectives of school leaders on moral on moral practice, and to what extent do school leaders practice moral leadership? This is the three research question. Want me to put up?
Okay, move on, it's okay, move on.
And then the speculation in study, first is the expected result is to the theme that fits the framework, the conceptual framework that is constructed on basis of past research and literature, with addition of new ideas and themes to emerge that will add to the theory. And also school leaders practicing moral leadership expected to influence their respective private school educational institute from their moral perspective that is grounded on value, principles and belief that they hold strong upon. So this is the speculation in the study. And this is some of the preliminary limitation of study: to find mechanical system to manage qualitative data. And then another one would be that this study is limited to the perspective of school leaders from selected Selangor private school only. And another limitation would be the lack of trust, fear and doubts from respondents. And my operation definition of terms is derived from the literature review. It's a role model that works to create a climate, culture and community in school that illustrate the value he or she embraces through the practice of authenticity, in a way that they demonstrate one's belief and value accordingly, and also in the way they balance ethics of care and ethics of justice, and also in systemic thinking they understand that decision impacts the system, and that they work in a group and take into consideration other stakeholders in school opinion, hence fulfilling the school goals to achieve students in achieving their capacity and be a successful role model for moral action. This is my definition based on moral leadership in school. So I make it a little more specific scope to my scoping into my research. This is literature review. Here is just some of this literature review that I quoted. So they based on past research and studies, one of the most influential or powerful leadership in the world is moral leadership. Moral leadership is normally the central of all other leadership, and then it is similar to transformational leadership. Only thing they emphasize on values and beliefs and characters. This is what Smith wrote on moral leadership. Next is it is beyond just a skill or competency. It's a way of leading in line with one's belief, value and commitment. It has moral leadership has a sense of care. It's people-centered and one who stands for the right, justice again, and one who develop and influence students' capabilities, especially lead by example shown. They plant seed in young generation. They influence them to be moral leaders as well. This is next. I'll go to the theoretical and conceptual framework. The theoretical framework is taken from past studies, past literature reviews.
Sure.
Then my research question is here.
Okay.
Just now don't know how we went missing. Okay, so this is my research question, and then this is my framework. I hope it shows.
Okay. Nama you go to the.
Go straight to the method now.
Okay.
Okay, I just show like this. I can see
Okay.
it.
Yeah, go to the
Okay,
method.
So this is the theoretical framework based on past studies that I derived, that moral leadership is speaking on the ethic of justice, ethic of care, authenticity, systems thinking. These are the definition that I put it into a certain main theme. I took from past literature studies and put it in the main theme, which I derived these 4 main themes. And then later from these main 4 themes from literature, this ethics of care and ethics of justice have to be in a balance. So balance would be my main theme now. Instead of ethics of care and ethics of justice separated, balance would be the main theme for theory derived from literature. So now this is what I derived: moral leadership is someone's authentic, the main theme, system thinking, and imbalance. So this is the 3. All this derived from this past literature theory. And then this is my conceptual framework also. I'm going to study on the practice and then describe this practice in private school slang and talk about find out their traits, belief, practice, and principle, and then perspective, how principles practice moral leadership, and explore moral practice, why leaders practice moral leadership among private school leaders in Selangor. So this is the conceptual framework that I must further explore. Next is towards my research methodology. I'm using qualitative approach. The design is multiple case study. Case study, yes. So because it is descriptive study and can get participants' real experience. And 7 school leaders will be selected to be interviewed and observed. So a total of 7 cases. Each case is represented by a single participant. Purposive sampling technique will be used. Criteria will be sent to the respective private school educational board. That means the moral leadership criteria for the initial participant, the criteria for moral leaders will be sent to the Board of Education private school. Ask them to select from the principal that practice moral leadership. And then the rest of the participant will be snowball approach in selecting the full participant. Okay, this is the questionnaire design process. Okay, so there will be few sections in the questionnaire. The first one will be to find out their background, and then the part B will the questionnaire, the interview protocol will be to find out to answer the research question. That will be the main focus, to get answer for the research question. So like this is some of the example of interview protocol. When making this for part B, when making a decision with regards to school structure and practice, what would be your main concern? So this kind of question is to probe whether the decision making is considered in context of ethics of justice and ethics of care and from the system thinking perspective or not. And the next one is, as an educational leader, your task is to conduct constant review, evaluation of current practices and structure, to establish new practice. Tell more about this process of constant evaluation and re-evaluation. So these are the 3 questions I can ask in part B. The rest is still in process. For parts C and D will be to answer research question 2 and research question 3. This part D is on probing why school leaders practice moral leadership. So the data collection process will be through interview, structured and semi-structured, series of open-ended and closed-ended, and also observation. The data recording is tape recorded, transcribed, and real observation data during field visit at each school. The data analysis will be a combination of deductive and inductive approach. Deductive approach is to test the theory used in the study. The theory, that whatever that is from the literature review, whether the observation and test confirms or rejects it. And then inductive approach is to test the pattern and generate new theory. And then I will also use the constant comparative analysis, where I will group together and always go back to my data to make sure that the data is real and adjust my data. The data analysis process, first I'll create a set of theme from the literature, that is from the theory. I'll create a set of theme, and then I'll break the interviews to few data from their sentence, paragraph or quotes, and then I will label these quotes with the theme earlier from the literature, and then find quotes that support the idea also. And then later I'll bring all this, sorry it's so small. Later I'll bring all these individual quote to team together and look for idea within the team. That means from that team that I already got, I'll make it that sub-team, make another team. Try to break it to a smaller team or group. And then, of course, constant comparison again. Now, I should also find new team emerging. So I go back to the interview and compare the new team and old ones and adjust my ideas. See if there's any new team that emerge. And also I must see how the sub-team and team relate to each other. Let's find out. And also, and finally in the last stage, I'll construct the narrative and quotes from the interview to support ideas and discuss the relationship between the sub-team and teams. So this will be the classification tree. First the quotes, I'll create some sub-teams, then the sub-teams I'll create more teams. It's just a simple how I will classify my data. Finally, my ethics as a qualitative researcher. Okay, as I said earlier, the ethics is very important. The ethical approval of this research is gained from the respective private school educational board before I proceed with my interview. This official letterized form is in black and white will be obtained. And avoid plagiarism by quoting and paraphrasing. And also be prepared to change participants if found out they are involved in any unethical activities. And use third-party point of view to write the study to protect the researcher, myself. And use pseudonym to protect the respondent and also the institute and the school. Validate data, send back the data for them to validate it. Look for the respondent's best interest. Identity should never be revealed. So this is my ethics that I should practice as a qualitative research. Okay, this is the end. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Jack, you want to ask first?
Okay. I got quite a few.
Okay, hold on. I'll stop first.
See you.